Hello! My name is Stena Schmitt, and if you watch my last video, How to Teach Children to Read Before They Enter Kindergarten, you're going to love this next video because I'm going to give you lots of tips and tricks about how to do it at home. So, here's the second version, in the series, Developing Print Concepts to Young Readers and Writers. Again, my name is Stena Schmidt, and I run Saints Training and Tutoring. So if you're seeing this anywhere but my website, please visit at saintstrainingandtutoring.weebly.com. So what is print concepts? Print is everything written down. Or, how you can explain it to children, it's talk written down. There's two very important parts to print concepts. There's the conventions, the actual doing of things, and then the jargon, the words we use to describe reading and writing. So conventions are things as simple as reading from left to right, top to bottom, and front cover to back cover. We don't want someone reading upside down. And jargon is words that we use to describe reading and writing. So when we say how many letters are in your name, or what sound does your first letter begin or sound like, or what words do you recognize in this sentence, or how many words are in this sentence, those are all ways to use jargon when talking about reading. So why is print concept so important? Well, in order for a child to be ready to read and write in kindergarten, they need to have automatic print concepts. We don't want a child entering kindergarten when they're reading upside down, or reading from right to left, or reading from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. It just doesn't, it's a hard habit to break once they have started. And once they've started, of course, they can now focus on the fundamentals of reading and writing. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a shared reading. This is a perfect opportunity to get a child onto your lap and read a book that is so predictable, something that they can easily relate to and that they can join in really quickly. So, it has to be predictable, meaning that there has to be some sort of repeated phrase or repeated words over and over again. This is where the child will jump right in and be excited about reading because he's going to do something he never thought he could. Or maybe there's a refrain that repeats over and over again. Again, the child can then catch on very quickly. Or maybe there's some rhyming. Rhyming helps children learn how to read new words. And of course, it has to be appealing to children. If they're going to be bored, they're not going to interact with the book. And maybe the book takes you somewhere conceptually. Maybe it also teaches about colors or animals or activities that they could be doing in the house or outside of the house. It's something that you can learn two or three things at once. And that's very important too because, as you know, your child soaks up everything he sees and loves to share that with others. And that's the most important thing about reading and writing, to make it so that they want to learn and they want to soak up that knowledge. So, continuing on shared reading. Shared reading gives children the confidence to read. It can give you ideas for predictable charts, which we'll talk about later. And while you're reading that book, you can ask your child, what do they notice? Is there any words or letters that they might notice as they are reading along and recognize? The quicker they can recognize things or words on a page, the quicker they're going to be able to read and write. Also, have them copy down the book. Most of the time, I wouldn't recommend this in school, but being that they are just learning how to do this, it is okay. You can have them write the sentences down, or you can even write the sentences down and see how they can see how the words are written down. For example, you write the sentence down, and then you cut it up into words. Then you mix the words up and see if they can bring it back and recognize it that way. If they are recognizing how the words go together in a sentence, you can tell that they are going to be excellent readers and writers. However, if they don't understand it, after 4, 5, or 6 times of doing the same book over and over again. Then you might realize that there might be a problem with their reading ability and you might want to ask for some help. Local schools are great to ask for help. Also, you can use writing to develop print concepts. When a child is very young, the best way for them to learn is to learn visually. When a child learns how to walk, they learn a toy is in sight and they want to go get it. And they have to learn how to get it without having someone else get it for them. Again, children learns best by mimicking. So when you do something, they love to do it too. As you are doing your normal routine, do think alouds. A think aloud is when you think about something out loud and you put your thinking into words. So as you're paying the bills, talk about what the bill looks like. How do you know what you have to pay? As you're writing your check or you're filling out the bill with your credit card information, tell them what you are doing so that they know what to expect. The same with letters and emails. If you're writing a letter to grandma or aunts or uncles or mom or dad somewhere else, this is a perfect time to talk about writing. Talk about how you have to introduce your writing by saying, Dear Grandma, Dear Grandpa, or how you have to talk about the body of the writing, and that's what you're actually talking about. And then, if you want them to write the letter in very simple format and have them copy it. They love this. And grandparents love to have letters from their grandkids all the time. As you're making a grocery list, tell your child what you're doing as you're writing the grocery list down. Or make other lists of to-do lists or anything like that. Your child would love to mimic that, especially if they're playing in their house and they are writing their own grocery list, or they're writing their own to-do list, or they're writing their own, I don't know, any kind of lists out there. And as you let them write, coach them as they go. These are perfect times for teachable moments in which you can be the teacher like you have been since the day they were born. So have fun with it. You can use something called a predictable chart to develop print concepts. Remember that shared reading I was talking about? Well, just like predictable books have patterns, predictable charts also have sentences that have a predictable pattern as well. And like I said, it gives those predictable books give you ideas for printable predictable charts. So, a child gives an answer while the teacher or parent writes. For example, let's say you read a book about green eggs and ham. And so you write a predictable chart about what he likes to eat. And you can write sentences that say, I like to eat, and that is the predictable pattern. And then the child fills in the blank. I like to eat grapes. Make sure that you put the child's name behind it because if they can recognize their name, they can also recognize the sentence a lot faster too. Then, as a family, you can each write one thing or two things that you may or may not like. And then take those sentences and interact with them. So you've written the chart. Now, have the child look for things that they notice, whether it's certain letters that they remember, certain names they remember, the sight words or the concrete words I talked about in my last video. Read and reread these over and over again. Just like a predictable book, a predictable chart can be very encouraging for a child to learn to read and write. Then, cut the sentences apart. You can go from cutting the sentences apart to cutting it into words. Have the child actually put the words back together, glue it on another piece of paper, and they can create their own picture book. Now, how fun is that? You have just created a book for them to read and it's completely and utterly free. There's another activity called Getting to Know You. This is a perfect time to get to know your family members and what they do and what they like to do. So, for example, if dad works outside of the home and Junior doesn't really know about what dad does, this is the perfect time to find out. If mom works outside the home, the same thing. You can easily find out what each member of the family does outside of the home and inside of the home. It also helps with conversation skills too. A child loves to learn about what mommy and daddy do, or what grandma and grandpa do, or what aunt and uncle do. This will help create a better understanding for a child and teach them to read and write at the same time. So, how do you do it? First, write down the names of the family members. Look over the letters of each name and have the child identify them. Then, one family member per day, interview them. Write down the information, about 5 to 6 sentences worth, about what they do, or whatever kind of topic that you want to talk about with that family member. This should take about 20 minutes at a time because, as you know, your child doesn't have a very long attention span. After you read or after you write the chart, then read it many, many times. You can do it as a choral reading where you all read it together. You could do it as a repeated read where you read it first and then they repeat it after you. Again, you can make another family book and again, another free book. And as you have your child read the family book, observe the print concepts. See if they're reading from left to right, from top to bottom, from front cover to back cover. And use those moments as teachable moments if they may or may not be doing it wrong. This activity could take up to a week to create because you're only interviewing one person per day. And that could take several days, especially if you have a large family. So, again, have fun with it. This is what they love to do. In summary, there are many activities that you can do. Today we discussed a shared reading with a book that has already been created. We talked about a getting to know you activity where we're getting to know the members of our family. We talked about developing print concepts, which is reading from left to right, top to bottom, front cover to back cover, and also using words like word, sentence, letter, and so on. We also talked about how to write a predictable chart and how to have fun with it. So, if my name is Stena Schmitt, if you're seeing this anywhere but my website, please visit me at saintstrainingandtutoring.weebly.com. Or if you would like information, I have my email and my phone number down there. And if you would like more information based on the book that I use this uh, movie for, please refer to Phonics They Use, Words for Reading and Writing by Patricia M. Cunningham, and have a great day.